From JC Microbiology,
Assalamu alaikum.
and I'm also the member of Accounting. Today, we are going to organize awareness program on misuse of antibiotics. And first of all, I would like to welcome Hisham Dakan to chair the program.
Organizing team happened for BSc fourth year microbiology for organizing such a beautiful program, and I'm glad to be a part of such type of program because I always used to motivate students to go to the awareness. If you present some slides and that will move somebody, then you are successful in that sense. So today's topic they have chosen is the misuse of antibiotics. So I'm here to give short introduction about the antibiotic resistance and how does it occur and what are the solutions that you need to take to prevent from such type of these circumstances. So my topic is the antibiotic resistance, and I have shown the picture here. The fight between the antibiotics and the resistant bacteria. So it is happening in our body that antibiotics is fighting with the resistant bacteria. Okay, first of all, what is antibiotics? Now, you being the student of the microbiology and some from the environmental science, have the basic concept. So I have written simple language there. Antibiotics are very important medicines. They are the medicines which save our lives. That is the general definition for the antibiotic. Antibiotics are the medicine that will save our life from different diseases. And if you go to the microbiologically, then antibiotics are those substances which are produced by some microorganism that will kill some other microorganisms. Okay, so these antibiotics save us from different types of the disease, and I'm here showing the picture that the person is consuming antibiotics to save from the different types of the diseases. Now, how antibiotics work? After taking antibiotics, that antibiotics will work on different area of the bacteria. Look, there is the cell wall, the D-cycloserine, vancomycin, bacitracin, penicillin, cephalosporin. These are the antibiotics which will destroy the cell wall of the bacteria. So when cell wall will be destroyed, then bacteria cannot work. So that's how antibiotic work. Then the next thing is the cytoplasmic membrane. The antibiotic also have effect on the cytoplasmic membrane, like the polymyxin. This type of antibiotic will act upon the cytoplasmic membrane. There is the ribosomes, the process in which the RNA synthesize the proteins through a process called translation, and some of the antibiotics are there like tetracycline, streptomycin, erythromycin. These will act on the protein synthesis, that is they inhibit, they stop the protein synthesis, that's why bacteria can't work. Okay. So there are so many areas in which antibiotics act upon and they will kill the bacteria. Now, we know that antibiotic will kill bacteria, but nowadays what is happening is that though we are taking antibiotics, that antibiotics is not being successful to kill the bacteria. That is known as the antibiotic resistance. So when an antibiotic has lost its ability to effectively control or kill bacterial growth, then we call it as the antibiotic resistance. The effectiveness of antibiotic is reduced. That is antibiotic resistance. In other words, you can say bacteria are now resistant. They cannot be killed by antibiotic now. They become the superbug. Okay, how these antibiotic resistance occur? What are the mechanism? How does it occur? So there are naturally two ways that antibiotic resistance will be seen in the bacteria. One is the natural, by birth it will happen, and the second one is the acquired. That is during the lifetime, the bacteria will be resistant to the what? Antibiotic. And in acquired also we have two methods, that is the chromosomal method is the mutation, and extra chromosomal method is the plasmid. I'll give you the short introduction of these mechanism. Okay. The first one is the natural resistance. Natural resistance means from the origin, from the beginning. Okay, penicillin is always resistant to E. coli. You cannot kill E. coli by using penicillin because penicillin is a drug which acts upon the what? Cell wall peptidoglycan layer. Okay, and there in E. coli there is a layer called outer membrane. Outer membrane. In the outermost layer, so this penicillin won't be able to penetrate that outer membrane and act upon the peptidoglycan. That's why we cannot use penicillin for E. coli infection. So it's from origin, from the beginning, E. coli is resistant to the penicillin. Okay, so that is called as the natural resistance. The second one is during lifetime. And I've already told you, during lifetime there is two methods. One is the mutation and next is the plasmid. Mutation, you know that certain changes will occur in DNA after certain period of the time. Okay, that makes them resistant to the drug. And the second one is the plasmid. You know plasmid also. Extra chromosomal DNA, which will give the extra power. That's why I'm showing here. This will give the extra power. Okay. Now in mutation, what is happening? Look here. When we used to take the antibiotic, then this will attach to the target cell and it will kill the bacteria. That is the usual mechanism. But when mutation occurs, look at the site there. The target site has been altered here. It is now like somewhat like rectangular shape. It is oval shape here. So it has been mutated and changed into the certain shape like this. So when it has been changed, then antibiotic can't work upon it, can't act upon it. That's why the bacteria is now resistant. That is called as the mutation. So mutation is one of the factor which makes the bacteria resistant to the antibiotics. Now, what are the next methods for the mechanism of antibiotic? What are the next method for the resistance in bacteria is the degrading enzyme. Antibiotic degrading enzyme has been found in bacteria. In some bacteria, the bacteria are able to produce the enzyme. That enzyme will what? Degrade the antibiotic. We take the antibiotic and that antibiotic will be destroyed by the bacteria with the help of the enzyme. The first one is this. Second one is what we call is the efflux pumps. Efflux pumps means what? We need to take antibiotics in certain concentration. Okay, and they have to remain inside the cell for a certain period of the time. But if it doesn't remain there for the appropriate time, then they can't act. I will show you it in the figure. So this also causes the resistance in the antibiotic. And the third one I have already told you, that is the mutation. Look there. These are the three mechanisms how antibiotic resistance occurs. Look here. Actually, what will happen? Antibiotic will enter into the bacterial cell. It will join to the specific target area and that bacteria will be killed. That is the natural mechanism. But what is happening now is these three mechanism is going on. That's why we have what? Antibiotic resistance. The first one is, look there, the antibiotic is inserted into the bacterial cell, but there is the enzyme, seizure, that will cut, that will break down the antibiotic. Now that antibiotic won't be able to kill the bacteria. Okay? Because they are now not able to join to the specific receptor site because their shape has been changed by this degrading enzyme that I have shown in the seizure form. The next one is efflux pump. Look here, this antibiotic inserted into the bacterial cell and they have to remain there for a certain period of the time. But they, due to some protein secreted by the bacteria, they will excrete out soon. So they could not stay there longer. So they cannot act upon the specific site, so they come out. That's why the antibiotic won't work there. That is called as the efflux pump. And the third one, I have already told you that mutation. Look here, the specific site should be like C-shape, but here it has been changed. So antibiotic doesn't bind to this region. That is called as the mutation. So these three are the basic mechanism through which antibiotic resistance has been seen.
Organizing such a good program. So though late, it is a very good program. The awareness program on misuse of the antibiotics. So I, as a supervisor, have done the research on the multi-drug resistance and extended spectrum chicken meat in Bharatpur Metropolitan, Nepal. So this is published in the BMC Research Note, Biomed Central Research Note. The headquarter is in UK. So this research is performed in Bharatpur municipality under the in chicken meat. So this is Anil Shrestha. Next is the Anup Muni Bajracharya, our in charge. And next is the Hemraj Subedi, Raju Saha, Dura, Sachin Kafle, Saurabh Sharma and Sunil Nyopane are the students that has passed out the BSc 4th year. Similarly, next is the Dheeraj Kumar Chaudhary, is the PhD scholar in Kongni University, Korea. So he and me and Anup Muni Bajracharya sir has made total protocol of this research. So I am going to tell you about this. We choose the chicken meat. So we choose the chicken meat sample because, as we know, in the poultry there is the misuse or the overuse of the antibiotics. So from the day 1 to the day 45 until it is sold in the market, so the farmers use the antibiotics. So next is the multi-drug resistance. So the multi-drug resistance can be defined as the resistance to the 2 or more than 2 groups of the antibiotics. So this multi-drug resistance is defined as the resistance towards the 2 or more than 2 groups of the antibiotics. So such organisms is known to be multi-drug resistance organisms. So next point is the extended spectrum of beta-lactam. So this is the very important point. So before knowing about the extended spectrum of beta-lactamase, we should know about the third generation cephalosporin. Okay. Third generation cephalosporin is called the extended spectrum beta-lactam, not the lactamase. Right? So you have to this third generation cephalosporin are called the extended spectrum beta-lactam, and the enzyme that breaks the ring of the third generation cephalosporin is the extended spectrum beta-lactamase. It means whenever you consume the penicillin or the cephalosporin, these enzymes will break the ring of the beta-lactam. So these enzymes is responsible for breaking the ring of the beta-lactam antibiotics, and the structure of the antibiotic is changed, and the antibiotics is no more effective. Okay. So next, resistance bacteria to humans from animals are transmitted through the consumption of uncooked meats, through the contact with the uncooked meats and the meat surfaces. So you all consume the meat by properly cooking it. Yes, but you know there are some of the varieties of food like kachila. Okay, kachila. Okay, that is made. That is the Newari dishes. So that is consumed without cooking. So nowadays the chicken kachila is also popular. Okay. So consumption of these types of the food may transfer the resistance bacteria to the humans. Right? So next thing is that whenever we eat the uncooked meat, so without proper cooking of the food or proper cooking of the meat, this resistance bacteria can be transferred to the humans. These were some of the introductions about the multi-drug resistance and the extended spectrum beta-lactamase. Okay, what were the objectives of this research? So in the general, if you see, to determine the prevalence of ESBL producing among multi-drug resistance gram-negative isolates from chicken meat in Bharatpur Metropolitan. So what point you should note is that I have written here ESBL producing among the multi-drug resistance. So I have told you that multi-drug resistance are those organisms that will resist the 2 or more than 2 groups of the antibiotics. So in the multi-drug resistance, if there is also the prevalence of the ESBL producing gene, so what happens is that the case will be more chronic. Yes. So our objective is to determine the ESBL producers among the multi-drug resistance. Not only the ESBL, but ESBL producing among the multi-drug resistance. So some of the specific objectives were to isolate and identify the bacteria from the chicken meat, to perform the antibiotic susceptibility test of the isolated organisms, to estimate the prevalence of the multi-drug resistance isolates, to estimate the prevalence of extended spectrum beta-lactamase producing the multi-drop resistance isolates. So these were the specific objectives and the above were the general objectives. So methodology. So the sample site where the sample site it was the Barakur metropolitan, the city where you live. The sample size were about 38 chicken meat sample were collected, and the sample collections. So there is different, right? Okay, sample collection was, so we have taken from December to the June, from 16 December to 17 June. We have taken the sample. So what we do is that a sterile, dry, small beaker was wet for each sample of the chicken meat. Two small pieces of about 5 to 10 gram chicken meat was kept in a beaker. The collected sample were transported into the laboratory, and since the beaker was properly capped with the aluminum foil or the sterile cotton, which can help to reduce the false results. So these are all what we perform in the field. We take the pieces of the chicken meat sample and we immediately transfer it into the laboratory, and we use the sterile beaker to transport the sample. So this is the protocol how we process the sample in the laboratory. So first, the collections of the chicken meat sample in a sterile beaker. So we collected the chicken meat in a sterile beaker. Then after, the pieces of the meat were transferred into the sterile Newton broth as well as to the selenite broth. So this, from the Newton broth we inoculated. From the Newton broth we inoculated it into the McConkey agar and Amindo agar. Similarly, from the selenite broth we inoculated it into the Salmonella and Shigella agar. So again, after the observations of the colony, so the colony were restricted into the Newton agar, and biochemical test was performed for the identification of the organism. Similarly, then after we inoculate the organisms from Newton agar into the Raynaud infusion broth in order to do the antibiotic susceptibility test. Then after, we screen for the ESBL producing organisms. Then after, we confirm the ESBL producing bacteria. So these are some of the protocol of our research. Okay, so then after, this is the distribution of sample according to the number of the bacterial isolates. So pieces of the chicken meat not only consist of one bacteria, but it consists of the many bacteria. So there are number of the bacteria. This represents the number of the bacteria isolated. So from the 1 meat sample we got the only one bacteria. From 13 meat sample we get the 2 number of the bacteria. From 20 number of the sample we got the 3 number of the bacteria in each sample. So from the 4 sample we got the 4 number of the bacteria in each sample. So overall we take about 38 chicken meat, and about 103 number of the isolates were isolated, bacteria were isolated. Okay, so we have isolated the Cytobacter, and then after the Salmonella, then after the Proteus, then after the E. coli. So these are some of the bacteria that we isolated from the meat sample. Cytobacter, Salmonella, E. coli, Proteus were some of the bacteria that we isolated from the chicken sample. Among the most predominant organisms was the Cytobacter. So this is the antibiotic resistivity pattern of the Cytobacter. So if you see here, this imipenem belongs to the carbapenem group of the antibiotics. So this is the this antibiotics is given when there is the occurrence of the ESBL producing organisms. So whenever the third generation cephalosporin won't work, this type of the imipenem is given, and this cost about 800 IC, Indian currency, for 1 dose, and the patient has to consume the 2 doses of the antibiotics in a day for more than 1 month. So if this type of the bacteria infects the people, then it is a huge loss of the money as well as the health. So if you see here, in our antibiotic resistivity pattern, the Cytobacter organisms were resistant to the 15 so 15 of the Cytobacter Cytobacter species were responsible to resist the imipenem. So among the Cytobacter has resist the imipenem in a high amount. So next is about the multi-drug resistance and ESBL producers. So if you see here, so in about so next look at here, in about more than 36, okay, there are a lot of the isolates of the bacteria, Cytobacter bacteria. Among them 36 show the multi-drug resistance. And if you see here, 10 of the bacteria, 10 of the Cytobacter were responsible for resisting the 6 group of the antibiotics, and 5 number of the Cytobacter were responsible for resistance towards the 7 group of the antibiotics. So if you see here, this among this 10 multi-drug resistant Cytobacter species, no one or no any organism produced the ESBL, but here in this here the organisms that resist the 5 groups of the antibiotics, these are showing about the 4 organisms that are ESBL positive. So this is the antibiotic susceptibility pattern of the Salmonella. If you see here, the nitrofurantoin, Salmonella species are resistant towards the nitrofurantoin in a high amount. So this is the multi-drug resistant and ESBL producing Salmonella's frequency table. So here the Salmonella, 8 number of the Salmonella has shown resistance towards the 3 numbers of the drugs, and among the 7 numbers of the Salmonella, 5 were ESBL positive. Okay. So from here also you can see among this all the isolated Proteus species, 8 species of the Proteus was resistant towards the imipenem. So this is the frequency of the multi-drug resistance and ESBL producing Proteus species. You can see 4 number of these Proteus species is resistance towards the 4 number of the drugs. So this is the antibiotic susceptibility pattern of the E. coli. So here you can see that about 5 number of the E. coli, that is all the numbers of the E. coli were resistant towards the ampicillin. So this is the frequency of multi-drug resistance and ESBL producing E. coli. So among them you can see so 2 numbers of the isolates were resistant towards the 4 drugs, and similarly this 2 number of isolates were resistant towards the 5 number of the antibiotics. So you may feel bored, eh? Only chart is right? So this is all about the tables, eh? So now let's come here, eh? So this is the frequency of multi-drug resistance. The MDR stands for the multi-drug resistance among gram-negative isolates. Okay? So among them, so we isolated about 46 number of the Cytobacter. So among the 46 number of the Cytobacter, 78.3% were the multi-drug resistance. So it will resist more than 2 groups of the antibiotics. So next is the Salmonella. So we have isolated about 27 number of the Salmonella. So you can see among the 27 number of the Salmonella, 23 were the multi-drug resistance. It means among the 27 number of the bacteria, 23 number of the bacteria will resist towards 2 or more than 2 antibiotics. So it was about 85.2%. So similarly there is the frequency of the MDR among the gram-negative isolates. Okay. Next is the frequency of ESBL among gram-negative isolates. So this table represents about the multi-drug resistance, and this table represents the ESBL, frequency of the ESBL. So you can see Cytobacter, there were about 46 number of the Cytobacter, but 26.1 were the ESBL producers. It means it will hydrolyze the beta-lactam ring of the penicillin. So it will hydrolyze the beta-lactam ring of the beta-lactam antibiotics. Similarly, there is the Salmonella species. The total number of the isolates were 27, but 55.6% of 27 number of the isolates, 55.6% produces the ESBL here. So overall, if you see, among the 103 number of the Salmonella, among the 103 number of the bacteria isolates, 36.9% were the ESBL producers. So in the earlier table, you can see about 79.6% were the multi-drop resistance. Okay, these are the organisms that we isolated from the meat sample. So now this is what was our objective? Our objective was to determine the ESBL producers among the multi-drop resistance. So I have shown the table of the multi-drop resistance, then after the ESBL producers, and this is the table representing the number of the ESBL producer among the multi-drop resistance isolate. It means 36 bacteria, that is about 34.9%. This 34.9% of the bacteria will produce the ESBL, and this is the MDR as well. This is the multi-drop resistance as well. So what were our conclusions? In our study, the major contaminants in the chicken meat was found to be the Cytobacter, that was about 44.67%, Salmonella, then after it was followed by the Salmonella and Proteus. The frequency of the MDR isolates in chicken meat sample was found to be 79.61%. That was about 82 in 103 sample. That was about 79.61%. The frequency of total ESBL producers in the chicken meat sample was found to be 36.9%, and the frequency of, or the main objective is this one, the frequency of multi-drop resistance ESBL producers gram-negative bacteria in chicken meat were found to be 34.96%. So this was our objectives. So antibiotics such as the doxycycline hydrochloride, gentamicin, ciprofloxacin and colistin were found to be more sensitive. So our recommendation was antibiotic susceptibility tests should be carried out in order to prescribe appropriate and accurate treatment of the infections. Dix diffusion assay for susceptibility testing, though is a simple to perform and inexpensive, cautious interpretations of the resistance isolates may be necessary. Gentamicin, ciprofloxacin, colistin and antibiotics are the choice of the drugs for the treatment caused by the gram-negative bacteria. Abuse of the antibiotics in animal feed, food animals must be stopped and must be used under the veterinary supervision. Proper sanitation method must be applied in the slaughterhouse. So these were some of the recommendations that we had made after our research. So I would like to thank all the team of the Balkumari College for this research. Similarly, Mr. Anup Muni Basasare, the head of department of the microbiology, my family and the friends, and the students that has contributed towards this research. So these are some of the pictures that they had done in their laboratory. So these were 4 persons that were engaged in this research. So this is the E. coli in the amino agar. So this is the antibiotic susceptibility test that we have done. Okay, thank you.